this is going to be your picture. If this is your basic, I'm going to look at, if I'm looking at a stretch, it's going to be narrower. If I'm looking at a shrink, it's going to get wider. Now, here's the nice thing, and this is easy in terms of the stretches and shrinks. It's the other one, the horizontal, that's going to be much, much harder. And that is, we're impacting the Y values. If I'm stretching, the Y values are getting bigger because as your arms get closer to your head, the Y values are actually getting bigger because they're being pulled up. If you're shrinking, the Y values are getting smaller because they're being pushed down, right? So when I look at stretches and shrinks, that would say I'm looking at something of the form, essentially some constant, and I'm going to put absolute values around that constant, times the Y value, because it's impacting the Y values. And I put absolute values around it because when it's negative, that's the reflect. So that's a twofer in terms of the transformation world if it's negative. But I'm looking at, does it stretch or does it shrink? Not anything about reflection. So that says if I've got a number and I'm multiplying the Y value, if that number is bigger than 1, that's going to make the Y values bigger. So that means you're going to be stretching. If essentially this number is between 0 and 1, that means I'm taking a fraction of what the original Y value is. Like 1/2 times the original Y value makes that Y value smaller. So the graph is going to get wider. So the Y values get smaller. Okay? So if I'm taking a look at this, the examples would be 3x squared. Stretch or shrink? Stretch. 1/2 square root of x. Stretch or shrink? Shrink. Because it's smaller than 1, right? Making the Y value smaller. 4x. Stretch. 3/2 x cubed. Stretch because it is 1.5. So the transformation is of the form absolute value of c times f of x, and is performed by taking the absolute value of that constant that's in the front times the Y value. And then we'll pick this up next time. Like I said, I think your test is going to be Friday, so.